In this episode of Chips and Sparks Garage, I'm going to finish mounting the cab, install the bucket seats, we have a new steering column I'll be mounting, and also making a floor plate for the brake assembly. And we're going to figure out what we might do with the shifter. All right, I've got my cab aligned on the frame. I'm getting ready to make these front cab mount perches. I'm going to use this 2" by 2" angle, set it up like this, and I'm going to cap it with some plate on top to take this shoulder bolt with a bushing. All right, I've got this front perch all made up. It's I got the angle cut and it fits really nice. So I've got the bushing in there, and I'm going to just position it under there. I'll use the shoulder bolt to get the exact position. Drop it in there, and I'll put a couple of tacks on here for now. And when I remove the cab later, I will weld all around it and give it a little paint, and I'll do the other side. That's it on those. All right, I've got these seats out of the Dodge Dakota in place in the cab where positioned where I'd like. I've got on the back mounts, I'm going to use those and just drill through the cab floor and reinforce underneath the floor. It's right next to the seat channel that's in the cab, so being adjacent to it, it should be pretty strong. Up front, it's got some wonky looking brackets on the front of the seats. I'm going to take those off and make new mounts on the front, and pick up this channel that goes across. That's the normal seat mount, so it should be pretty well secured. Okay, those old seat mounts were riveted and spot welded in place, so I cut them. I drilled out the rivets and the spot welds, removed them. I'm making new brackets to go on here. I'll spot weld them back on the slide rails, and then I have to make a mount on the cab part itself. All right, I've got these seat brackets clamped in place on the slide, and I've got a piece of bar stock clamped to the face of them so that they're in the same plane. And then I'm going to use this welding blanket, tuck it all around here before I weld up so that I don't catch the seat on fire. I've got the seat in the position I'd like right now. It's level. I've got it supported with some 1, 2, 3 blocks in the front, right on the track to get it level with a level surface. The back mounts, the original back mounts, I'm going to punch some holes through the floor and through bolt that. In the front, those brackets that I welded onto the track, I had holes in the front, and I bolted a 2" wide by 3/16 strap onto that. And then I have a piece of angle that I'm going to get it positioned and then tack weld that on right now, and on both sides. Then take them off, fully weld them, and bolt them back on, and then tack weld them onto to the cab floor here, and that'll give me my front supports. Well, I got the seats all mounted. Everything is nice and solid. I'm happy with the height and location of those seats now. Very comfortable. Next, I'll be doing the steering column. This is the new steering column I picked up off of eBay. It's a General Motors copy, meant for a floor shift. In other words, it's got no column shift provision here. It is a tilt mechanism, and it's got the GM pigtail coming out, but no key on it, so I'll be putting an ignition switch back in the dash. And I got to make the mounts and everything next. That's what I'll be doing next. But of course, this means I'm going to have to build a floor shifter. This type of truck, I was toying with the idea of just building a tall console and putting that stock Mustang shifter there, but that would look a little cheesy, I think. So I'm going to probably take that apart and see if I can make something that looks like one of the low car vintage type shifters, the tall ones. put a bend in it or something, I'll weld to that shaft and make a new knob with a push button detent. It won't have the indicator for what gear you're in, but I think I could figure that out. Anyhow, we'll do the steering column next. I've got the steering column mounted in here securely now. I've got how to modify those mounts, steering column mounts I got from Speedway Motors. They're kind of a universal thing. They clamp onto the column tube and then have swivel brackets. I had to make new brackets to fit my application, but I've got it secured at the firewall and under the dash. I have to make next a plate to cover the where the brake pedal comes out. I'm going to probably behind this firewall clamp here, I'm going to put like a rubber, like an 1/8 inch sheet rubber gasket behind there to overlap and seal out any water noise or fumes or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and make this panel next. I'm probably going to cut I'm not sure if I'm going to need to cut a slot to get it over that pedal shaft, or I could maybe just cut a hole in it and thread it over the brake arm. Anyhow, I'm going to make that next. All right, this is what I came up with to cover that hole where the brake pedal goes through. I'm just going to put a bead in here and just stiffen it up. But I decided just to cut a rectangular through. Didn't want to weaken that, and less area to seal. All right, I've got that floor plate finished up. Put the bead in it, the joggle, bend, and all that stuff. It fits nicely right over top of the brake pedal assembly. It sits on the gasket surface there. I'd have to put mounting holes, for screws, but I'll put like a gasket under there to seal it. And anyhow, I'm happy with that. I think that's going to be it for this week. Next, I'll be figuring out what I'm going to do with this shifter, whether I'm going to modify this one. I wanted to make a tall, vintage style shifter, or I might make one completely from scratch, but I have to figure that out. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and all your comments are appreciated. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and keep track of this project. Have a nice day. Thanks.